Single dad helps a biker, not knowing she's a billionaire in disguise searching for love. Part 1 Extended Rain, Secrets, and a Door Left Open. The sound of the motorcycle faded into the distance, swallowed by rain and darkness. Ethan stood at the doorway longer than he realized, one hand resting on the old wooden frame, the cool night air brushing his face. Something about the woman, Raven, lingered. Not just her presence, but the way she looked at Lily. The way she hesitated when offered safety, like someone unaccustomed to receiving it without strings attached. "Daddy," Lily said softly, tugging his sleeve. Why was she sad? Ethan blinked and looked down at his daughter. At 7 years old, Lily noticed things adults learn to ignore. "Some people carry heavy things inside," he said gently. "Even if they don't show it." Lily nodded, considering this. "Like you." Ethan's throat tightened. "Yeah," he admitted. "Like me." That night, sleep didn't come easily. Ethan lay awake on the couch, the ceiling fan humming above him. The image of Raven kept replaying in his mind, the way her eyes scanned the room instinctively, like she expected danger even in safety. The faint scars on her knuckles. The money she'd offered so casually, as if it truly meant nothing. He'd met rich people before. Not many, but enough to recognize the difference between someone pretending not to care about money and someone who had never needed to. Still, it wasn't his business. At least, that's what he told himself. Across town, Raven, whose real name was Vivian Blackwood, sat in a luxury penthouse that made Ethan's entire house look like a garden shed. She stood barefoot on cold marble floors, helmet resting on the counter, blood-stained jacket tossed aside. The city glowed beneath floor-to-ceiling windows, a glittering kingdom she ruled but no longer felt part of. A man in a tailored suit hovered nearby, worry etched into his face. "You disappeared," he said. Security was in chaos. "The board can wait," she snapped. He stopped talking instantly. Vivian pressed her palms to the counter and stared at her reflection in the dark glass. No makeup, hair loose. Just a woman who'd ridden until her arms shook, desperate to feel like someone who wasn't worth billions. "They won't understand," she said quietly. "They never do." The man hesitated. "You were hurt." "I was helped," she corrected. "By a man who didn't care who she was." That was the problem. And the temptation. The next morning, Ethan woke to knocking. Sharp. Insistent. His heart leapt into his throat. He checked the clock. 7:12 a.m. "Lily, stay in your room," he called quietly as he grabbed the baseball bat he kept by the couch. The knock came again. Ethan opened the door just enough to see Raven. Clean now. Hair tied back. Leather jacket replaced with a simple hoodie and jeans. Still striking. Still dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with violence. Her eyes widened when she saw the bat. "Good morning," she said. Ethan exhaled sharply and lowered it. "You scared me." "Fair," she replied. "I probably deserve that." Lily peeked around the corner. "It's her." Raven smiled instantly. "Hey, rabbit girl." Lily giggled. "I'm Lily." "I know," Raven said softly. "I remembered." That did something to Ethan he didn't like to examine too closely. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Raven lifted a paper bag. "I brought breakfast. And, I wanted to return something." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver charm. "You dropped this," she said. "Last night." Ethan stared. It was his wife's necklace charm, the only thing of hers he still wore, tucked inside his shirt. He must have dropped it while helping her. "Thank you," he said quietly, taking it. "You didn't have to come back." "I wanted to," she replied. Over breakfast, pancakes, cheap coffee, and awkward silences, Raven watched Ethan and Lily interact. She noticed the way he listened. The way he never raised his voice. The way Lily felt safe enough to talk freely, to ask questions, to exist without fear. "So," Ethan said eventually, "where are you headed?" She shrugged. "Not sure. That's kind of the point." "You running from something?" She met his gaze evenly. "Aren't we all?" Lily looked between them. "Are you friends now?" Ethan hesitated. Raven answered first. "I hope so." When Raven finally stood to leave, Ethan walked her to the door. "You can come by again," he said before thinking better of it. "If you need help. Or, pancakes." She smiled, softer than before. "Careful, Ethan. That sounds like an invitation." "Just being neighborly," he replied. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. If I told you who I really was, you wouldn't look at me the same. Ethan studied her face. Then don't tell me. Her breath caught. No one had ever said that to her. I'll see you around, she said. As she walked away, Ethan felt it again, that quiet sense that his life, carefully rebuilt piece by piece, was standing at the edge of something much bigger than him. Inside, Lily pressed her face to the window. Daddy, she whispered excitedly. I like her. Ethan watched Raven disappear down the street. So do I, he admitted. And neither of them knew that secrets, danger, and a love neither had planned for were already on their way. Fire next up in part 2. Raven's billionaire identity begins to unravel. Threats from her old world collide with Ethan's quiet life. A choice between safety and love. If you want part 2, 1000 words or cinematic image prompts, just tell me. Single dad helps a biker, not knowing she's a billionaire in disguise searching for love. Part 2, When Two Worlds Collide. Raven, Vivian, stood at the corner cafe 2 blocks from Ethan's house, staring at the cracked chalkboard menu like it held the answer to a question she hadn't figured out how to ask. She hadn't meant to come back so soon. Yet here she was. Ethan sat across from her, hands wrapped around a chipped mug, watching steam rise like a fragile truce between them. Lily sat beside him, swinging her legs, carefully drawing hearts on a napkin with a purple crayon. You don't drink fancy coffee, Raven said lightly. Ethan smiled. Tastes like burned dirt either way. At least this one's cheap. She laughed, and felt something loosen inside her chest. This wasn't part of the plan. There was never supposed to be a plan that involved a warehouse worker, a tiny kitchen, and a child who trusted too easily. And yet, the trouble came sooner than she expected. A black SUV idled across the street, engine humming low. Raven spotted it through the cafe window and stiffened instantly. Years of training, corporate battles, hostile takeovers, and very real threats, flooded back into her body. Ethan noticed the change. What is it? He asked. Nothing, she said too quickly. The SUV's door opened. A man stepped out in a tailored coat worth more than Ethan's monthly rent. He scanned the cafe, eyes locking onto Raven. Her past had found her. Raven, Ethan said softly. I need you to trust me, she replied. And I need to leave. Now. The man reached for his phone. Ethan didn't hesitate. He stood, placed himself between Raven and the window, and put a hand on Lily's shoulder. Back door, he said calmly. Lily, grab your jacket. Raven stared at him. You didn't ask questions. Didn't need to, he said. You looked scared. They slipped out just as the cafe door opened. They didn't stop until they reached Ethan's house. Raven paced the living room like a caged animal, running a hand through her hair. I never meant to drag you into this. You didn't, Ethan said. You showed up hurt. That's it. She turned to him, eyes shining. You don't understand. I'm not who you think I am. Then tell me, he said quietly. Because whoever you are, someone's looking for you. Silence stretched. Lily watched them, sensing the weight of the moment. Raven knelt in front of her. Lily, do you trust me? Lily nodded without hesitation. You're nice. And you remember my name. Raven swallowed hard. Then she stood. My real name is Vivian Blackwood, she said. I'm the CEO of Blackwood Global. I'm worth more than I know how to explain. The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Ethan stared at her. Then he laughed once, short and disbelieving. That's not funny. I'm not joking, she said. The man at the cafe works for my board. They think I've lost my mind. Maybe they're right. Ethan's smile faded. He looked at her clothes. Her posture. The way she carried herself when cornered. Slow realization dawned. You offered me money like it was nothing, he said quietly. Because to you, it was. Yes, she whispered. And I hated myself for it. That night, headlights flooded Ethan's living room. Another SUV. Then another. Men in suits stepped out, scanning the house. Vivian froze. They shouldn't have followed me here. Ethan moved instantly. He locked the door, ushered Lily into her room, and grabbed his phone. I'm calling the police. No, Vivian said sharply. They'll bury this. They always do. Then what do we do? He asked. She looked at him, fear and determination colliding in her eyes. You let me handle it. The knock came, firm, authoritative. Ms. Blackwood, a voice called. We need to talk. Ethan stepped forward before she could stop him. This is my house, he said through the door. You don't have permission to be here. A pause. Then, sir, this is corporate business. Ethan laughed bitterly. That doesn't mean anything to me. Vivian pressed her forehead to the wall, stunned. No one had ever defended her like this. Ethan, she said softly. They won't hurt you. They'll ruin you. He turned to her. I've been ruined before. I survived. When the men finally left, threats implied, warnings issued, the house fell quiet. Lily crept out and wrapped her arms around Vivian's waist. Are you in trouble? Vivian knelt and hugged her back, tears burning. I was, she said. But I think I'm not alone anymore. Ethan watched them, heart pounding. He realized then what scared him most. It wasn't her wealth. It was how deeply he cared. Later, on the porch, Vivian sat beside him. I can walk away, she said. Disappear again. Keep you safe. Ethan shook his head. You don't get to decide that alone. She turned to him. You don't fit in my world, she said. And I don't belong in yours. Maybe that's why it works, he replied. She reached for his hand, tentative. I've spent my life being wanted for what I have. You're the first person who didn't want anything. Ethan squeezed her hand. I just wanted you to be okay. Their foreheads touched. For a moment, the world went quiet. But in the distance, engines hummed. And both of them knew. Love had entered the story. And love always came with a price.